This is one of my favorite questions ever. Preacher, do you interpret the Bible literally or symbolically? And behind that question is always Genesis chapter 1, because people are wanting to ask you, was it, preacher, was it 6 days, 4,000 years ago? Or is every day instead some sort of geological era, and so it all is symbolism for something else? And to answer that question, literally or symbolically, the answer is neither. You read it literarily. And when I say you read and interpret the Bible literarily, that means you interpret and understand each book within the biblical library according to its writing style. The fancy word is genre. So you're not locked into one mode of interpretation for understanding 66 very different books. And so there are parts that you interpret absolutely literally. When Proverbs says, don't commit adultery, there's no symbolism about it. Don't commit adultery. And yet when you read the book of Revelation and there's all these images and all these creatures, there's a heavy, heavy amount of symbolism. So I'm not interpreting it literally or symbolically, literarily. When you understand that the Bible is not the good book, but it's the great library, it opens up its meaning in entirely different ways. Because instead of feeling like it's some sort of wooden document, you just take it all at face value and read it all the same. It's all just an owner's manual for you to guide you through life. You're able to see the ways the different styles of writing within the Bible call for their own interpretive skills. And that doesn't make it harder to understand. That makes it better to understand. And that makes the process of reading it and studying it in community with a guide all that much more thrilling. I know, for example, that if I was still reading Paul's letters as if they were examples of modern American letter writing, I would miss Paul's message. But since I understand genre, and that they're not modern American letters, they are ancient Greek speeches, it helps me understand the genius of Paul so much better. So much of the joy of being able to understand that different biblical books and different biblical styles call for different ways of interpreting. Not that there's, oh, that's true for you and that's true for me. That's not what I mean. I mean you bring different tools, different ways of studying to the different books, and really underneath it all, whether it's the book of Proverbs or whether it's the book of Revelation, two completely different books with very different styles, the starting point for all of it is to realize, oh, none of these books were written to me. They were preserved for me, but Proverbs was written to Solomon's son. Revelation was written to 7 ancient churches. And so the great joy is trying to figure out, what did these mean to the original audience? And once you can understand what they meant to the original audience, then you see how that meaning intersects with your life and applies to your decisions even today. So there may be very different methods of interpreting something highly symbolic like Revelation and something obviously literal like the bulk of Proverbs. But the key to it all, who's the original audience? What was the original author saying to his intended audience? And how does that apply to me? That gets you away from the worst question in Bible study that you can ever ask, which I've told you about before. What does it mean to me? Doesn't matter what it means to me. It matters what it meant and how that intersects with my life today.